Welcome to Gen Z Hoops, the Gen Z basketball, coaching, and sports business show. On this podcast, you'll learn from professional players, coaches, and executives from all over the world and see the court in a brand new way. And now, joining you courtside, your Gen Z host, John Hartophilus.
Christian, man, what's going on?
What's going on, John? How are you?
Really excited for this episode. It's going to be a lot of fun. We've been talking over LinkedIn, and you've been just so awesome and coming on the show. And I know this is going to be a really fun time talking about all your experiences, and what you've done so far is super impressive.
No, I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Happy to be on here.
I mean, just to get us started, I mean, our listeners might first, when they see this episode, they're going to jump right to your title and all the cool stuff you're doing now in the NBA. But there was a start to this way before all the cool things you're doing now. And I want to know about that. Like, what kind of got you your start in basketball and made you realize, you know what, like this is kind of what I want to spend my life doing?
Yeah, I'd probably have to take it back to when I was honestly, right when I was 1 year old. My dad took me to. Dad was fortunate to have season tickets to the Sixers games, so I started going to games right when I was born, and I grew up watching guys obviously like Allen Iverson, Aaron McKee, Dikembe Mutombo, and I just lived that life where I was forget school. I was looking forward to going to a Sixers game every night. So I think that's kind of what jump-started my career, where I knew I wanted to be involved in sports in some capacity. I didn't always think it was going to be from a management side. I thought it would be more of the media route. But I think as I got older, I realized kind of where my passion lied, and things happen quickly. And it all works out for the best. So it's been a long journey, but definitely a good one.
So you didn't tell me anything off air about the media side. We were talking about that a little bit. So what did you used to do in that realm?
Yeah. So when I was in high school, I did like the school morning news. And then I went to college with the mindset that I wanted to be an ESPN sideline reporter or an ESPN host. So I went to the University of Florida and got my telecommunications degree. But it's interesting, after my sophomore year, after taking all these classes, working for the local news station and the school radio station, I realized that the career was not what I thought at all. And I had really zero passion and drive to continue to get better in it. So after my sophomore year, fortunately or unfortunately, however you look at it, our football coach and our basketball coach both changed. And that kind of gave an opportunity to new people who wanted to get involved as managers or video people. So I ended up getting involved with both football and basketball. So from there, when I was working for those programs, I just realized, you know what, media, I want nothing to do with it anymore. I want to stick to kind of the behind the scenes management side of it. I would say that probably the turning point for me in the media side was Florida had lost in football to Georgia Southern my sophomore year. And I had to go into the locker room and interview kids and ask them these really tough questions about what it felt like to lose to a really poor football team, to be honest. And I couldn't stand and look at these kids' faces answering my questions. And I was like, you know what? I don't have the heart for this. So I got involved in the management side of things.
That's super fascinating about it. I mean, number one, that you're able to have that self-awareness that early on to realize and pivot to what you really wanted to do. That part's super cool. But you also, right, you were helping out with two sports. So obviously these two coaches leave. People talk about one being a full-time job. So you have school, you have one being a manager for one team, but now you added on a second one. Like, what were you doing for each one, and how did you juggle all that?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So for football, I was working in the recruiting office, and they fortunately had a program that was called Gator Football Ambassadors, and it essentially was student helpers helping with hosting college recruits, or high school recruits, and kind of giving tours around campus, helping coaches in the office. So we had about 10, 15 office hours that were mandatory, and then whatever you could build into the rest of your schedule. So I was averaging probably 25 to 30 hours my first year in football in the office. And then whatever hours I was not there, I'd be at the basketball facility. And I worked in the video room there, helping cut tape for coaches, helping prepare scouting reports. And I had to make it known to both coaches that I was kind of bouncing back and forth, and they were super okay with it. And as long as I got my work that they were expecting to be done, then it was fine for whatever they needed. So it was just a lot of time management. I was fortunate to kind of put a lot of classes online, so I didn't really have to go to class that much. And I did put an emphasis on making sure I still enjoyed college. I think that's super important. I didn't want to be the guy that just managed a basketball team or was around a basketball facility or football facility my entire college career, knowing that I had my whole life to kind of do this stuff. So I made sure I enjoyed my college years, but definitely put in the hours and was around just to kind of be facey with a lot of the coaches and programs at Florida, and ended up helping me get my first job.
Oh my God. I mean, this is incredible. I'm thinking about, I've talked to so many people that only work in basketball, right? And the football stuff into that too. I mean, that's kind of maybe before we get into maybe your first job and stuff, I actually want to even take it back a little bit more. I mean, you also interned at MSG, kind of the same thing I'm doing now, which must have been incredible. I mean, was that, now they called the student associate program. Back then, I'm guessing it was called a little bit different. It was an internship. And you were with the basketball ops side, which is way cooler than what I'm doing. So I got to hear about that. Like, what were you doing back then, and how did that kind of help you?
Yeah, so I guess I should mention I worked, essentially I wasn't good enough and I was never going to play for my high school basketball team. So I ended up working and helping with Clip Hoops, which was like a third-party scouting company all throughout high school. So I had some scouting basketball experience working for people in the basketball world. And after my junior year, or my junior summer going into senior year, I had connections with that. And then I obviously had Florida basketball connections. So I was able to kind of maneuver and get into the MSG program. And that was that was such a good experience for me, just in the sense of I was sitting watching pre-draft workouts with Phil Jackson right next to me. And it's stuff I could only dream of. And I remember my first week there, he had called me in, asked for a couple of different things, paperwork, and then he was like, all right, come outside and watch the workout with me. I was like, what? I'm an 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid, and I'm watching basketball with a legend in our game. So I don't know if to this day if you'd even remember me or not, but just the fact that I got to spend 3 months kind of learning from Phil and being around the Knicks organization, being in the war room, learning from a lot of great people there was really valuable in my young years. And it just shows what it's like to work in the NBA, and it gives you really good exposure to being in that type of office environment. So super grateful for the Knicks.
Wow, I mean, that just completely shattered. When you said Phil Jackson, I was like, that just shattered my expectations for what that internship was all about. There's a bunch of other interns that are in a bunch of other departments. I have spoken to a lot of them, not all of them. No one's doing anything that cool. So I think they changed the program up a little bit. They kind of realized, okay, this is too cool. We got to scale this back. Christian had way too much fun. We got to make it a little bit more like a normal internship now. That is insane. But yeah, think about that. I mean, those months that summer internship must have been incredible, right? You're picking all that up. And right, you were mentioning before going to your summer job, and right, you're taking from MSG, you're taking from all these great programs at the University of Florida. What turned in? I mean, your first few jobs are in football, but now you're in basketball. What did that desire for you to kind of go that route, and what did you learn from that? Because that's unique. I don't really talk to people like that on my show. That's really cool.
Yeah. So I was sitting in it was the one class I actually had in person with honestly now a really good friend of mine, Professor Spiker. I was sitting in his class. It was a sports media class that I had to have to graduate. And I didn't have a sports job lined up. And I want to say I was like 3 months out of graduation. I'm starting to panic. I'm like, I have this resume. I can't get anything. I ended up taking a recruiting job in like corporate America for a company called Insight Global. I started to kind of panic again. I was like, what can I do to just like get into sports? I don't really want to do this job. So I started sending out emails to every single person I came across in my last couple of years with Florida. And honestly, I just started sending out random emails to random colleges and football teams, basketball teams. I probably had sent out, I want to say 350 emails. Introducing myself, not really asking for a job, but just kind of like networking. And Coach John Garrett, who I worked with at Florida, had been one of probably 5 people to actually reach back out to me. And he had just taken a head coaching job at Lafayette College and was looking for a director of football operations. And he's like, hey, I can't pay you that much, but you can come here and learn what it's like to be a director of football operations and use this as kind of like a stepping stone to whatever you want to do in the future. And I was like, yes, I am all for it. Well, let's do it. So a couple of months went by. He had to kind of get settled, and I went into the summer, helped with summer camps there. And then by the time the season started, I was full time. And I cannot say enough about what Lafayette College was for my foundation. It just, Coach Garrett allowed me to essentially run his entire football operation. And I was a 22-year-old kid who had no idea what was going on. But he instilled a lot of confidence in me and trusted me to have the keys to his program and support him. And I think just a really important time in my career where it's a small school, but it allowed me to have my hands in so many different things and be a part of so many different decisions and meetings and interact with so many different people around the entire college. So it was really crucial to my development.
It's crazy thinking about you being it's Dofo. Is that, I mean, Dobo is
Dofo, yeah.
Dofo, yeah, it's pretty cool. But who was the next youngest Dofo in your conference? Like,
it's funny. I did not do this, but my buddies, once I got that job, started looking around the country and seeing how if there was a younger Dofo. I was the youngest one that they could find. So, and I don't say that in like a cocky way. It was just that's a testament to Coach Garrett. Honestly, I had built a little relationship with him at Florida, not a big one, but he trusted me to come there and be supportive to him. It was his first year as a head coach, and it was awesome because we got to build a foundation and build kind of just like the baseline of what he wanted to do and make out of Lafayette College. So yeah, it was awesome.
I absolutely love that. And I'd be lying. I mean, when you're saying your buddy looked it up, I'd be lying if I said I didn't look it up for myself when I thought I was the youngest varsity assistant ever. I'm like, okay, there can't be another one that's still in college. Let me keep on going. Now he graduated. This guy's 26. So I did that a lot. I'd be lying if I said I did it for my own but it's always really cool thinking about fun stuff like that. And the experience you had there, I mean, I can't imagine, right? Being given the keys like that and having to, and being relied upon so much, and having to deliver at such a young age. That's even though it's football, I find that so cool. And for basketball guys. Yeah.
Coach Garrett, he had worked for the Cowboys for 5 years or 6 years, and his brother is Jason Garrett. So he had a lot of coaches a lot of assistant coaches that came in with NFL experience and really high D1 football experience. So in those meetings, that program was on like an NFL or D1 program, and it was intense, and I think I expected it to be, but it was also great because I got really good hands-on experience with coaches that honestly going to do really great things. That I was only there 1 year, and 5 of those coaches ended up coaching in the NFL within 2 years after that. So, which is like really unheard of to be honest, at Lafayette College. But that's again a testament to Coach Garrett bringing in really big time coaches.
5? That's insane. Like, if you told me one, I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. One of your buddies, head coach. 5 is crazy.
2 of them got Super Bowl rings their first year after they left. David Girardi went to be the quality control coach for the Chiefs. They obviously won a Super Bowl. And then offensive coordinator John Van Dam went to be he's now the quarterbacks coach for the Bucks. And he got a ring last year. So those guys, testament, they busted their butts and got a Super Bowl ring.
That's got to be a cool job, being the quarterback coach for the greatest quarterback of all time.
Yeah, right.
That's got to be a pretty fun job. So it's pretty cool. He's doing some cool things.
Not many jobs better than that one.
And there's so much cool stuff here, and I mean I'm really loving it. Even though there's really so much to dive into, I'm kind of want to jump into your internship with the Sixers. It's kind of the same thing as your internship with MSG, but when you look around like basketball legend when you were in Philly, how did that one go? I don't know if you were So it's hard to follow that up. That's hard. That is hard.
After Lafayette College, I went to Stanford University, and I was having a tough time adjusting in Birmingham, Alabama. And I think right after signing day, when I was there, I got a call from Annalise Schmittel, who's the VP of player development for the Sixers. And I had built a really good relationship with her at Florida. She was getting her PhD and kind of served as my mentor at Florida while I was there. And she had a couple positions to hire. And we had kept in really close communication. So as you know, this business is just all about networking and who you know. And she gave me my first real, it was an internship opportunity, but it was kind of like a come here for 3 weeks 3 months and, don't screw up and you'll hopefully get a full-time job kind of thing. So Annalie was really instrumental in getting my foot in the door. And she is the reason I'm in the NBA, to be honest. The internship was just do whatever. Literally, there were so many different requests and there was not one thing to hang your hat on, I guess. But it was just come in every day, whatever's asked of you, do it, get it done, and do it to the best of your ability. And then it fortunately did lead to a full-time job, which, working for your hometown team was a dream come true. And my family was super, super pumped and happy and proud. And, you never forget my father's look when I told him I had a full-time job at the Sixers. So it was a really cool moment for my family.
That's so cool. I can only imagine that day. And it's really cool because that's your story. That's something you can obviously remember. And it's incredible that all those years, those 20 some odd years, being a fan of a team to now working for them and remembering going to them as a kid. That's something I'm kind of feeling, even though it's an internship, I'm feeling that now with MSG. I'm in the arena. Like that's something that was a one-time-a-year thing. And now it's every other day.
For sure.
I'll never take for granted. It's always a good time. So now you go into a full on, like you're doing a lot of scouting stuff. And obviously you had a lot of like director Dobo/Dofo experiences before that. But obviously you're doing scouting now, like scouting's kind of where you're headed. What kind of is the difference for you between the two of them and what made you maybe pick scouting to where that's really what you love?
Yeah. I think, when you're in the NBA, you kind of just do what you can to survive at times. And they needed some scouting support, and I had some scouting background. So it was kind of, I don't want to say forced into the role, but it was not my first choice. I kind of like the operation stuff, and I wanted to kind of stay in that realm. But as opportunities present itself, you have to take advantage of it. So I always knew that at the time, I wanted to be a GM, or I wanted to be a high-level executive for an NBA team, and I knew you had to have scouting experience and sort of a scouting background. So allowed me being the scouting coordinator for Philly and learning under guys like Prosper Karanangwa and Vince Rosman, and Danny Mills, who's now the GM of the Perth Wildcats, allowed me to just grow and learn from guys that have been in the business for so long and have seen so many different aspects of the game, have critiqued so many players, have been a part of a lot of different drafts. So to have that experience is super valuable. I don't think long-term, I don't see myself in scouting, and I'm not doing it now, but just to kind of have, again, that background and foundation of what scouts are looking for and what executives are looking for and players they draft and free agency, it's super, super helpful. So
I love it, right? Kind of getting that skill set and kind of helping it allow you to help with what you actually like to do. So now, now you're with the Pacers now as of what, 2 months ago now you started that job
2 months ago. Yeah.
And you're back to doing what you always wanted to do, right? And being on the ops side. So what has that been like, and how's it kind of been so far these last 2 months?
It's been awesome. Definitely a big change of pace in a sense of the scouting stuff. People don't realize those guys are constantly traveling on the road, taking morning flights to get to a game at night, stay in a hotel, fly out the next morning, go to the next city. And it's really brutal. It's a brutal lifestyle, to be honest. And some guys love it, and it just wasn't for me. But for me to get back on the ops side, it's refreshing. It's just like you said, what I love. So I have a really deep passion for it. I kind of like the idea of fitting puzzle pieces together and being able to kind of connect a lot of different departments and be kind of the nucleus of of the organization. Indiana's been great. I love the city. I love the organization. The people have been super friendly and welcoming. I feel like I've been here for 3 years already, just based off the relationships I have with a lot of people. And I've just felt really super comfortable and happy to be here. Yeah.
I love it. So are you traveling with the team now, or is it coming up soon?
I am not. That's one of my goals. I'll be honest. I would love to travel and be a part of that, the NBA side of travel. But right now, that is not one of my duties. I'm more coordinating a lot of the travel for our scouts to go from point A to point B.
You know why I'm asking? Because January 4th when the Pacers play the Knicks, I really wanted to see you courtside. We'll make it up either at Summer League or
for sure
season. We'll make that happen sometime. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
We're gonna need that game too.
Oh,
we're gonna be fighting with them in the standings. So
it's gonna be tight. We'll be texting. We'll be talking about it. We'll
for sure.
Some smack to each other because it's gonna get real. Oh my God! But East has never been so competitive in my lifetime. No. So we're down for some great basketball. I'm excited for it. And I want to thank you for coming on the show and sharing all this with us, because honestly, 300 plus episodes, 350 plus episodes, I've never had someone with football experience come on the show. Crazy.
Oh, wow.
Crazy. So you sharing this with us, really, it made me realize, how kind of cool it is and how wide ranging this game is, how much you can kind of take experience from anywhere. And I know our listeners are feeling the same way. And Christian, really thank you for coming on the show and sharing that. This has been awesome.
No, John, appreciate you. Thank you for bringing me on. And I guess if I would say anything to the people out there listening is you don't have to work strictly in one sport to get to whatever you're trying to chase. As long as you're getting experience in sports somewhere, it's going to pay off in the long run. This industry is about being patient and attacking at the right opportunities. So I appreciate it, John. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Gen Z Hoops. Make sure to follow, like, and subscribe on Instagram, LinkedIn, and all major social media platforms at Gen Z Hoops. You can tune in and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and every other podcast platform on the planet. Get ready for the next episode.